Hi, Tom Stuka here. Thanks for joining me and taking a sneak peek at my Mastering the Phone course. Thousands of sales are made or lost in our business every week by how phone-ups are being handled. These days, every opportunity counts. Take a look at this clip of Mastering the Phone. A sales consultant using effective words and phrases who stays on the call script will be able to obtain 95% of prospects' first and last names as well as telephone numbers.
Have you ever been to a workshop or listened to a trainer or watched a video on YouTube talking about urgency? It goes something like this. You need to make people feel urgent. You gotta make them feel the urgency. Okay, fair enough. While we attempt to make people feel urgent, there's one thing missing from everything that I've seen on the topic of urgency, and that's how to create it or why it works.
What's your goal in sales? Well, logically, to sell cars and make money. Well, everything else we do in sales is to get us in front of a prospect on the lot. And then building value, closing the sale, and overcoming your prospect's objections is the only way you're going to reach that goal and deliver a unit. And that's exactly what this training series is all about.
I am Dwayne Reno, and the close of the month is called the Double Bind Out of War, and it goes just like this. So, Mr. Buyer, if we handle that, have you considered going ahead today or tomorrow? So, Mrs. Buyer, if we handle that, would you put it in your name or your husband's? And why this is so effective, and it's universal to any condition in any business, is because as you push the problem aside, your buyer will actually go with you if you do hand gestures and your eye movements. And then when you give them an embedded command floating in the air with only 2 appropriate choices, and then do the very subtle humility to smile and nod, your buyer will invariably pick one of those options if you are down to the final objection or condition. I'd ask you to try this close in every situation. Let me know how you make out. I'm Dwayne Marino. That is perhaps the most effective close you're ever going to learn. We'll talk to you soon.
Attention, dealers, GMs, internet directors, BDC directors, CRM managers, and automotive sales professionals. There's so many things that you can do to try to get a little bit better, to do more, be more, and achieve more. But I'm going to tell you one thing. And it is the most powerful thing you can do to sell more cars more often and more profitably, or sell more appointments and get more appointments to show. You know what that is? It's video. Video. I call a dealership up. I need a price on a vehicle, right? You guys says, sir, can't give a price. I said, well, what's wrong with you? He's like, we just can't give a price on the phone. Why not?
I edited that video.
Take my number, go down the street and buy from somebody else. I wasn't even thinking about doing that.
Maybe I should.
I should. Everybody try this. Excellent.
All right, so those are a couple videos to start the show. What I did was I looked at a huge amount of videos on YouTube from a lot of different trainers. And really what I wanted to do is really just give a little bit of a couple key trainers to give sort of to set the tone for the discussion today, which is going to be around training specifically, and also seminars. Each trainer has their own kind of style, but you'll see a lot of similarities. It's actually kind of interesting when you look at the Canadian trainers versus the US trainers, and also when you look at sort of the Tom Stuker side or the Zig Ziglar side versus everybody else. So it's kind of interesting to see that, and that translates through. Anyway, that was a quick video. You can look them up on YouTube. There's all kinds of stuff if you're curious. I didn't want to do just 3 books because there's so many books on sales, persuasion, selling. This is just a really good list of a few. Robert Cialdini, I highly recommend. He actually wrote these books to help people not be sold, but the biggest purchasers are usually salespeople. But there's a bunch of other books there that are very good as well. Good morning. This is Ian and Jeff, and we're going to be talking about should your team attend a seminar today. We have 2 great guests that are going to be sharing a lot of knowledge on this topic. Disclaimer, we're not responsible for anything anyone says on the show in any way because we're just the hosts, we're not the speakers. AutoHub, the show is for our guests. It's not the host, it's your show. Please mute or unmute yourselves. You can also click raise your hand if you have a question. We're moderating the chat box. There's a wealth of knowledge and experience, so let's share ideas and respect each other's time. All AutoHub participants have agreed and be open to sharing ideas. No one is trying to sell you today. AutoHub is an open discussion with a focus on improving business. We value everyone's input. Speak up and bring value. Don't be afraid to brainstorm ideas and ask questions. In respect of everyone's time, because we're all busy professionals, please do your best to stay on topic. Don't forget to challenge our speakers, because that's why they're here. Quick video. So Jeff, maybe you could share some details on not only vendor speed, but on sponsorship of the AutoHub show. To give back to the community, fund the show, and sell more products with sponsorship.
Well, thank you, Ian. Yes, I'll do that. Sponsorship, translation, meaning, definition, sponsorship, help Ian and Jeff get out of home. So what this means is you can sponsor our show, you get your name plastered everywhere. You for a very small, reasonable amount of money. The AutoHub show is growing in stature and viewership. We're getting shout outs all over the place, and it's a perfect opportunity. And way less than one simple paid SEO, and everybody wants. Vendor speech is Friday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific. That is noon Eastern time. That is 1 o'clock in the Maritime, and of course, 1 p.m.
All right. So without further ado, we have John Kostakos and John Latka. So it's the John and John show. John is from Spartan Sales, and John Latka is from Automotive Business Solutions. So let me just go to the bigger screen here. One sec. All righty. So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Today. So I'm going to let Jeff introduce John Latka, and then I'm going to introduce John Kostakos, or vice versa. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Ian. So right here we have these two gentlemen, the two Johns. And so we have John Latka joining us from that sprawling metropolis of Halifax, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And certainly a gentleman well known in the Maritimes and looking to expand until our little friend COVID screwed everything up. But John, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Latka.
All right. Well, I can tell you that I've been around the automotive industry for 35 years plus. I started on the sales floor, as many of us have, got into management, and I had the pleasure of working with and for some of the most talented people in the industry. It was in the year 2000 that I decided I was going to start my own business in terms of training and consulting. The reason being is that I had quite a history of success when I managed dealerships and hired people, built teams, and dealerships saw dramatic results in terms of increased volume and profitability based on some simple processes that I put in place, and the way that we built teams and the way that we coached and supported teams. So in in the year 2000, August that year, I decided to resign my position as GMS at a local store and start my own business. And thankfully, after 20 years, we're still in business. It's gone very well. Some of my former employers have become some of my greatest supporters. And we've dealt with well over 100 dealerships in Atlantic Canada. The majority are repeat business, referral business, and many we worked with on an ongoing business over years rather than just the one done type of scenario.
Cool. So I'm going to introduce John Kostakos, and then we're going to go into some questions. So John, I've known for over 10 years, maybe 15 years. I met him when I worked at Richmond Honda when he was in trying to sell the dealer services of various different trainers. He actually is the reason I work for Practice Dealer Solutions, setting up BDCs all over North America, and I've known John for a long time. Also have a common friend, Janice, who worked with me at PDS, and Janice has known John for a long time. Jeff also knows John for a long time, but John is a consummate promoter across Canada into the US. Helps promote a number of different trainers. I think we said 5 to 8 over the years. So John, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how you got into the business.
I got in the business in 1995, and that's when I worked with a company out of Detroit, Bob Moore and Associates.
Okay.
So in 1995, I'm from the food business originally, selling yogurt, and I saw this ad in the paper, entered this ad, they were launching this new speaker, his name was Grant Cardone, no one knew who he was, so I gave it a shot, and that was it. So for the last 26 years, all I've done is travel North America and promote seminars. I've probably been in 40,000 or so dealerships.
Wow. So what's the hardest market to be in a dealership in North America?
The hardest market in North America is where you don't have a relationship.
Oh, okay.
So all across Canada, it's not a problem because I know so many people, and in the markets that I work in the US. But if there's no relationship in a market, you'll get killed. When I went to Philadelphia for the first time, maybe 2 years ago, it was like, it was awful. Because no one knew me, so it was the worst thing. But then the second time was a little better. So when you have a relationship, it's easy. When you don't have a relationship, it's hard.
Right. But the cheesesteaks are pretty good, though.
Which one?
The cheesesteaks are pretty
good. Buddy. D'Alessandro's, I mean, it is amazing. But another tough one is out in California, like Los Angeles and Anaheim and all that. That is brutal hard.
Cool. Well, I got a question for both of you. How relevant is outside training during COVID, in your opinion?
Who do you want to go first?
Let's start with John, since he's talking. How's that? John can start.
I think it's critical depending on the subject matter. So right now, I have a seminar happening in Toronto on November the 4th and the 5th. So,
right.
And I sold that one out in 8 days. And the reason why I did it's because the seminar is about lead generation. It's not about how you sell a car. It's not about the sales process, none of that. So where people need help when it starts to slow down is how can I lead generate on my own? Because if I don't, then I'm screwed. And then another thing is about the attitude machine. So going to a seminar in these times is great because if it's the right seminar, if it's a seminar on how to generate leads, how to build your business, about the attitude machine, body language, then it's good.
John, is this a live seminar or is it virtual?
It's live or virtual live. So we have Dwayne has a camera, and it's virtual live or live. So if you don't want to go to the hotel, then you can do it from the comfort of your home or your boardroom. But it's that live show happening. I prefer the live when you go and sit because nothing beats that. But if you can't do that, some people are scared or nervous, a little concerned, so they can just do it from their board. But it was time to get out on the street because it's been 7 months, and I mean I'm not going to stay home anymore. Done. Done enough walks. Let's go. Go.
And John, what is your thought, John Latka?
Listen, I agree with John 100%. I think it's very relevant. In terms of training outside, having seminars or training programs, as he points out, depending on what the needs are, and the current needs, as John said, is relevant to what do we do during COVID? How do we generate more leads? Very, very, very good. Now, let me give you an example of what just took place here in Atlantic, Canada, when we're talking about outside training. Someone I know got into the car business because his employer, after so many years of service, they were cutting back. So he got into the car business with the promise of a lot of training and support. When he got there, in fact, there was training. There were videos that he got to watch, sales trainer. there were videos on product knowledge that he got to watch. What was interesting is after a number of weeks, they actually allowed him to go on the floor without asking how ready he was and without actually testing how ready he was. Got on the floor in the first week, talked to a number of people, and I asked him whether or not any of the management actually sat down with him to review who'd he talked to, what took place, what should the next steps be, etc. And his answer was no. So I helped him out with some training, and lo and behold, the following week he sold a number of vehicles, and his comment to me was that he couldn't have done it without me. He couldn't have done it without the outside help. So I hope that answers that question.
Fantastic. So, John, how have you pivoted your business? John Latka, actually, how have you pivoted your business model since March?
Well, in terms of pivoting, I can tell you one of the things we worked on, because I knew that, outside sales training or sales training in boardrooms in March, April, May wasn't going to happen. So what we did was we focused on developing a new website for the company. We also developed a number of professional videos, explainer videos, basically showing some of the things that we do. And we're in the process of finalizing a choice in terms of webinar and podcast platforms. And we're in the process of developing some new training programs, not just for the COVID era, but also for what follows after the pandemic.
So in your opinion, is there a difference between sales training workshops and seminars?
Well, there is. In terms of sales training, for example, that can be anything from one-on-one or groups, and it can be ongoing as well. And sales training really has a combination of not just teaching skills, but practicing the skills, programming the skills, and modifying behavior to suit that particular environment.
So during COVID, obviously communication in some cases is more remote. Lead count in general has gone up. What communication skills, in your opinion, are required for successful training today?
Well, I mean, in terms of communication skills for successful training today, obviously, if you want to be using Zoom or some of the other platforms, you have to be familiar with it. But above that, obviously, it's, some of the basic communication skills, the words we use, the tone of voice, the body language that we're exhibiting. Obviously, you should have some public speaking knowledge. And in addition to that, your skills in terms of texting, emails, videos, etc., should be at the highest level.
So when you're looking at combination training, like John was talking about, John Kostakos, in terms of a hybrid model, you have people can come live if they want, they can watch it recorded if they want, maybe there's some interactivity with the recorded, like on Zoom, and maybe it's available later if they can't make it. Do you see that as the new model?
Well, I can tell you that I believe the future will have some hybrid options. Using podcasts, webinars, Zoom, the combination of the live and the videoed, it's going to be there. But that's not going to diminish the value of live training, in my opinion.
Okay. Any questions from the audience for John Latka?
No. I actually want to add one in here too, Mr. Latka. Do you think that when COVID ends, soon, God willing, do you think we'll all be so starved for that live interaction that we might just start, hopefully for your benefit and for Kostakos' benefit, that we'll be flocking to live events?
My opinion is yes, there will be an influx of people wanting to go to live shows because they're tired of looking at the screen, right?
Yeah.
And really, there's nothing like the real thing, the opportunity to interact.
Thanks very much, John. So we're going to get on to John Kostakos. So, John, you specialize in live events. What is the feedback you've gotten from dealers about live events moving forward?
Well, right now, as I promote my seminar now, I'm seeing everything. So I see the manager that doesn't want their people gone anywhere. I see the ones that are proactive that are doing it, and so I've seen it all because I've been in stores now every day for a few weeks. So, but the live event, I mean, this seminar that I have that's happening, I sold it out in like 8 days. Like people are just hungry to get out there. And you go to and I've had to move my hotel 3 times. First, my hotel was in Mississauga. They shut that region down, so I had to switch to a hotel in Markham. Then they shut that region down as of today. Now I have to switch my show to Durham region. So I think three, sold the seminar so fast because people want to get up. People want to, just nothing beats that live event. So you have the training, but you have the seminars are 2 different things completely. And I will live and die by the seminar. I believe in the seminar. I believe it's back. I've proven that it's back. I can go out in any city, anywhere, and sell tickets. And it's just not to be handcuffed by the government when they start cutting down and going back to stage 2s. And that's what hurts.
So what percentage do you think is going to attend that seminar in a hybrid?
The hybrid is only there because we can't do so it just protects me. And that's the one thing I love about Dwayne is that we're so versatile. So you can either go live, but if you don't want to go live, you can go virtual live, which is the live seminar, but you can do it from your boardroom.
Right.
It's like 65% as effective as live. Nothing beats like City Mayor live.
So Jeff, you got a couple of questions there for Mr. John K.
Yeah. So John, how have you promoted everybody? In fact, I think you were the style consultant for Grant on our video there, which probably was from 1996.
Yeah, I edited
that. That was great. I hate to tell you, he looks a little bit like you see some of these pictures on police station walls there. So how have they changed their program since COVID?
The different speak? Well, they've gone to a lot of the Zoom, the online. So they've done a lot of that. But for example, as a Cardone, he's able to get his YouTube video viewership. Like if he's got 1.5 billion people, he can do all this stuff virtual. Yeah. But he's still a live guy. He loves the live. But most of them, that's what they've done. They've had to do the videos or Zoom meetings or something like that.
Yeah. And so how have you? So you said you've done your is this your first live event that's coming up in November since the start of all this craziness?
Yes, I have the one November 4th and 5th that was sold out quick. Now I'm doing another one because you can only have 50 people.
Right.
So and then I have another one on November the 26th, and then I'll do another one in December. And then, bro, I'm coming out your way. Vancouver, February.
Cool.
Probably a March show. Yeah.
Well, that should be very interesting out here. So what have you, other than going a little bit stir crazy, how have you been handling things during the lockdowns, the semi-lockdowns, the reopenings?
I just, for me, I just waited. It's just a lot of family time. That was a real awesome summer that's just passed, and I just waited. I mean, I'm like I said, I am a seminar promoter, so I'm not a sales trainer. I don't have the curriculum to do the training. I have no interest in doing the training. I like to go out, promote the seminar, bring the speaker in, let them do their thing. So I had to wait. I waited months and months and months and months and months.
I have to tell you something though. You know something? Your trainers like Marino should be saying, during this seminar, let me turn you over to Mr. John Kostakos, for a statement on tenacity. Let's do a little segment on tenacity, because John, you're one of the most tenacious people I've ever met.
Thank you.
Tell me something. Where does tenacity fit in for training?
I mean, what I see when I go to the stores, like I did a sales meeting this morning, and I told them, I said, guys, you know how lucky you are. You have inventory that you get to sell that you don't even own. You get to have an office in a franchise that you have to pay rent. You got consultants on site to help you close deals. So I tell, they're the luckiest people, and you have a dealership that advertises to bring you a block of business every month. So you're lucky from that standpoint. Now, when you incorporate the relationship part of it into the transactional part of it, then you become unstoppable. That's how you double your numbers. And that's why our seminars, we pivoted from, those first Cardone seminars were all road to the sale. It was all a road to the sale seminar because no internet back then. So they had to come into the dealership to get the information. So you have to sell them, right? So that's why those word tracks are very, very important. Now it's changed because of the internet. So now what's critical is your relationship skills, and now the customer is more ready to buy. I mean, when they're just looking for, I call it the easy way, but they're looking for, a great experience. They know the numbers, and they're just looking for a salesperson to sell them a car. But the whole goal is when you sell them the cars to build a relationship so you can sell their friends and their family. And that's the key. And that's what people miss. They stop because it's been so good.
So your trainers, are you just doing Dwayne Marino now, or you're doing the other gentleman you're doing, you said is?
Right now, I have so much in Canada. It's just me and Dwayne. So that's it for here. I can't go to the U.S. I don't want to go to the U.S. right now.
No, that's for
so that's another 6-7 months away, probably. That's with Damien Boudreaux.
Hey, John, really quick question.
Yeah.
You mentioned about, and I think I'm going to use Dwayne's words here about transaction-ready customers. How many dealerships that you're in and out of are ready for that customer to come in and buy a car, or how many are still doing it the old way, would you guess?
How do you mean by that? How they're?
Well, you'd mentioned, some people are still talking about the road to the sale, and the other people are actually ready for the customer to come in and buy a car. They know they've been online. They know they're educated. They know their colors. I was just curious if you had some kind of percentage of how many dealerships out there are ready for that customer.
I think most of them are ready. Just what I see in going into stores every day, different stores every single day, is a lot of the salespeople are shell shocked right now. A lot of the salespeople they rely on dealer-driven opportunities. They rely on the internet. I know a guy. Now all 2/3 of his business is internet, and then the other third is a walk-in and the phone up. So most of the business now is online. But the big thing I noticed that a lot of salespeople do is they just look at the car business as just a job, a job, right? Just over broke. So they don't it's not a lot in their mentality. It's not a career. So they're able to earn a living from dealer-driven opportunities, which is fantastic. But if they're able to adopt relationship selling, building relationships, looking at it like it's their business within the business, that's how you grow it. And it takes a little time, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But it's got to be difficult because there's not many people in Canada selling 60, 70, 80 cars a month. Everybody talks about that guy. The one advantage for me is when I travel, I get to meet all these great people. Like in Philadelphia, I meet a guy out of a little town in Sloan Toyota, selling 70 Toyotas a month. How's that possible? Well, it's all relationship selling. Or the guy in Detroit, Aldi Retta, who's #1 in the world, same thing. Guy's a relationship guy. Guy came to our seminar 10 years ago, Boudreaux in Detroit, and the light went on, so he got into the relationship game. But it's easy, but it's very difficult because if it was easy, like everybody says, everybody would be selling 30 cars a month, and they're not. So we just
Question for both gentlemen. Thanks, Barry, for coming up with that. We really appreciate the input. So for Mr. Latka, what kind of pushback are you getting now from dealers about your training?
Well, in terms of sales training, quite frankly, many of the dealers right now are having extraordinary success in terms of the volumes that they're doing. So they're putting training on hold, as it were, for the time being. Having said that, I have a number of dealers that I will be going to and doing some training that are set up for November and December, including a dealer that's going to be doing a private sale with us as well.
Terrific. John Kostakos?
What's that question again? Sorry, what's that?
It was just, what kind of pushback, if any, are you getting on external training?
The only pushback that I'm getting is the COVID objection. They don't want to be up. That's it. Nothing else.
So the COVID, in terms of that, they don't want to be trained.
They're afraid to go. They're afraid to go to a hotel. They're afraid to go sit down. They're afraid to go socialize with other people, even though it's the safest environment. They've been conditioned from that media, the fear that's paralyzed everybody.
Right.
It's awful. It's terrible. They've done. You got 30 cases and you shut down. We go back now to stage 2. Got 30 cases. Hey, maybe one person died, which is terrible. My boss, Bob Moore, my mentor, is in Detroit in ICU with COVID.
Wow.
And he's getting better. And he has a lot of those the symptoms. He has breathing problems. But that guy still calls me to touch base. What's happening out there? The guy's 78 years old. He will make it through. So it's awful what they're doing. So it's as a whole, it's difficult enough to sell it. Now you have to deal with this thing about the COVID.
Yeah, well, that's of course the elephant in the room right now with everything, and that's certainly why this show is started, because the COVID shutdowns, etc. Excuse me, John Latka, same. What's your feeling there?
Well, yeah, I mean, COVID tends to be one of the major reasons why people are reluctant to go into group settings. Having said that, as John pointed out, that there are safe ways to hold these sessions in hotel rooms. I can tell you that our office, I can't hold meetings or training sessions at our office. The reason being is when I leased the premises, I purposely leased it without windows. And of course, nowadays they're saying if you don't have the necessary ventilation, you should not have groups of people in the facility, right?
Sure.
So that's one of the scenarios. I do, however, have dealers that are willing to do training at their location in their boardrooms, where we take turns with half the staff in the morning, half in the afternoon, or half on one day, half the next day, or we can spread it out even further to make sure that we have the minimum amount of people and the maximum amount of distancing possible.
What's your thought on that, John, in terms of doing training at dealerships, like in smaller?
Well, yeah, like the trainers do that. I don't do that because I promote the seminars. So,
right.
But Dwayne goes to the stores. John goes to the stores. So that's very good.
What's your opinion on the U.S. market?
Huh?
What's your opinion on the U.S. market comparatively?
I've already told you.
They're machines down there, right? They're busy, record months. I mean, I have a lot of good clients in Buffalo, New York, a big automotive group there called Western Group, and they're setting records every month. So they're selling cars. But I notice these last few days that it's starting to soften up. Like that pent up demand, people have bought their cars. Now you're going to see a slowdown. And that's not good. But it's good for trainers, for John, because now when you're talking to a dealer or a general manager, they're going to listen because it's starting to get slow. They're not having the traffic. It's getting a little harder. So, I mean, I went on Saturday, I did the meeting on Saturday, and the guy's like, I think I'm going to have to probably lay some people off. So it's softened up, and that's, what are you going to do? I can solve that problem.
This is sort of like the case when you get people in the bad credit side of the world. They get really excited when the markets do a downturn because now they get really busy on handling that. It sounds like a terrific opportunity for training.
It's awesome. It's the best. It's the best. I love it when you go in and the store's dead, because my seminar is about lead generation. We teach you how to take 20 minutes out of your day and sell one more car a week.
Are you finding, both of you, either one of you, are you finding that actually the last few months with the big Russian business has actually created a lot of weakness in the sales floors?
For me, it's a false sense of, hey, I'm doing great. So yes, it's a false sense of that. And then when the slowdown hits and you got to sell cars, that's when they get screwed, because they don't know not so much how to sell cars. They know how to sell cars. They don't know, and they have not been lead generating and filling their pipeline with people. So when it slows down, you're done.
John Latka?
Right. Well, then, in my opinion, and going along the same train of thought as John, what tends to happen is when things are really great, success can hide a lot of sins. And so people have a tendency to take orders during great time and forget about, as John said, things like generating their own leads or following up, because they feel there's no need. We're just rocking it, right? And so when things do slow down, and it's an opportunity for us to go in and help these dealers get back on track.
Yeah, that's a very good thing, and definitely an opportunity. And so, do I pick up on the salesman side of you hitting the phones?
So we run.
They hate the phones.
Well, hitting the phone, dealer saying, "Well, now it's a downturn time. You quit brushing me off."
I wouldn't hit the phones. I would show up in person, but yeah, you know what? It's just a numbers game, right? You go, you make your calls, and you see what happens out there. If you go out and work a hard day, that's what I do, right? Go out every day, something's going to happen. And I have a base acceptable bottom, so I'm in 12. I have to be in 12 dealerships in a day. That's my base acceptable bottom for me. So if I'm not doing that, then it's not going to happen. But something's going to happen walking in to that many stores. I'm going to meet somebody. Something's going to happen.
And what's your advice to salespeople who are in threat with it being slow? Do you feel it's just activity they're not doing?
Yeah, it's like you have to lead generate. You have to, like that guy. When they asked Ollie Retta in Detroit if he had to start his business over today, what would be his go-to strategy? And he said one word, and that word was community. His community, like his surrounding community around that dealership. That's where the people come, his community. And that's how he's able to sell so many cars, is because he is a household name in his community. And he gets involved out there, and he gives his business cards out, and he talks to people. And he goes to the events, like if dealerships sponsors a charity and they have an event, a lot of salespeople don't even go to that. Well, this guy, he would go to those. But you don't go with the expectation of, oh, I'm going to go have my business card and to sell it. You go to socialize, and people are going to start asking you what you do. And that's how he did it. He says community. And he says, you know what? It's people that know me. And he's built it up, and he's just a nice guy. He's a great guy. He's all about relationships. So that's what they have to do. But the problem is they weigh too much, and they wait on the dealer-driven opportunity. And when that dries up, then their businesses die.
We've got a question from the audience. How do you convince dealers to start training before the downturn? How do you recommend that?
You have to go sell them.
I'm a dealer. I don't want to do training. Why should I do it, John? Like, what's the reason?
Well, I mean, if you want your guys, you don't have to do anything. But if you want your guys to sell one more car a week, that wouldn't be a problem, would it? Like, would you object to that? And then I would try and do like a sales meeting. Say, look, let me come in and talk to them. I'll give you guys a couple of action ideas. I'll give you that where they can sell a car that day. And if you like it, if they like it, and I'll come in and do the meeting for free, then we can move forward. I can give you a proposal. But if they don't like my presentation, if they don't like my content, then forget it. But you have to do that. Sales meeting is very critical. Very critical.
So a sales manager who's trying to motivate his guys in a downturn, really it's about consistently inspiring them to do more.
Yeah, but the manager has to be proactive. A lot of these managers, some of them are not. Some of them are just overwhelmed with work. Got to order this, got to do that, The sales managers that manage sales. That's what Overy would always say. That's their job is to sell, to move metal. The only time you're working is you're with a customer. Like talking to a customer on the phone with a customer, interacting with a customer, that's working. There's so much time crime committed, it's incredible. There's 4 or 5 hours a day of time crime. That's what I call it. Right?
Time crime, I love it.
Yeah, that's but you know what? We're human beings. Yes, it's the easiest business to not do anything. But you're paid commission, so you're rewarded based on your performance. That's the greatest thing about the car business. It's the compensation plan for a lot of people. It's commission. They want to sit around do nothing, go ahead.
So I know we're pivoting a little bit here. We use that word a lot today. You mentioned about the commission plan, and actually in some of our other shows, we've talked about how the industry is changing away from pure commission. So it sounds like your opinion is a little different than that.
Right. So I've seen both. Like when I was in Philadelphia, I saw a store. It's a Chevy store, and he had if you started out in sales at that store and you were new, you could go on a salary of X amount per week. And then after maybe 3 months, you would sit with your manager, and if you were selling so many cars, you got to that threshold where it's more beneficial to be on the commission program. Then you would go on the commission program. That's in my way, that's the best way, because now you have new people that don't have to worry about their income. They got some money coming in, and then they can transition to commission when they're more ready. So for me, that's the best way. But commission's the only way to do it. You don't sell, you don't eat. Period. End of conversation.
Sure.
So what do you think about the flat commissions at a larger number? Do you think that's better for the salesperson?
It all depends how much the flat is. I mean, if you're getting $800 a vehicle, no matter what, hey man, that's a great program. But some I've seen some where it's like $300 any car, from the smallest to the truck or to the thing. But ultimately, the guy or the gal will want to be on commission, because that's where you can earn the most money. The more people you help, the more money you're going to make.
What's your thought, John, on commission?
Well, in terms of commission, I think that one of the challenges for us to be hiring people into the industry is the fact that it's primarily commission-based. So many dealerships have gone to the model that John just mentioned, whereby initially they will pay a salary and then eventually put the person onto a commission-only program. We came up with a number of years ago what's called an activity-based pay plan. By this, a dealer would hire someone new and guarantee the person that they would make no less than X amount of dollars per year working for that dealership. Now, that's based on them following the activities that they get paid for. For example, if they make an appointment, they get paid. The appointment shows, they get paid. If the appointment buys, obviously, they would get paid. But there's a flat fee. They also get paid if, in fact, they register an opportunity, an up, for example, that walks into the showroom. If they get their name, their contact information, even if they're not sold, they get paid. If the person goes on a demo drive, they get paid. If, in fact, they have a trade, the trade gets appraised, they would get paid. If there's a proposal put in front of the customer, they get paid. So on this activity-based pay plan, the reasoning behind it is that people new to the industry will be able to make money on a regular basis, even if they don't sell a vehicle. And what it will do is it will get them accustomed to doing the things that are critical to getting a vehicle sold. For example, if someone has a trade and we don't appraise the trade, how are we going to put a deal together? If, in fact, someone doesn't go on a demo drive, how is mental ownership going to take place? And if we don't present a proposal, the person has no chance of saying yes or no to what we're proposing.
We're waiting for somebody.
That's a very interesting comment to actually train people to do proper things.
I'm sorry, I heard some background noise, so I didn't hear you.
No, not a problem. I said that, I find that a very interesting way to compensate people, because a lot of the training seems to be based around the steps to a sale from when a customer comes in versus doing what it takes, of course, because everybody talks about, well, you got to set appointments, they got to show, you got to confirm, but nobody's compensated for that.
Right. So what we've done is actually this is built into software that we've developed, so it's very easy to track a person's income. And an individual salesperson can just go in and see what they've made for the day, even if they haven't sold a vehicle. But the thought behind it is very simple. The more we do those things that are critical to getting a sale, the more sales we're going to get. And what we've done is a dealership that went on this kind of as a pilot project over the last couple of years have proven that this works in the sense that they haven't had turnover in the sales force, and people are quite happy with the pay plan. Now, don't forget, there are other parameters in there as well in terms of this particular pay plan. For example, you have to have at least 66.7% of your appointments show in order to get a bit of a bonus, right? So when you hit certain standards, there's a bonus at the end of the month. And then there are bonuses for volume as well, whether it's 10, 15, 20, 25 vehicles. So it becomes a pay plan that touches everything to help a person sell more vehicles and be comfortable. And it gives a better experience. It gives a better experience for the buyer, because the salesperson isn't under pressure to point him in a certain direction, whether it's one vehicle or another vehicle. It's irrelevant.
We have a question from Pamela. Who tracks all of this and makes sure that the dealer obviously gets the correlation between activity and results?
Well, in terms of the sales managers, of course, dealer principals, everyone would have access to the software that we're using to measure their performance. And so that's how you can verify exactly what's going on. And people that we've had on what we call the Accountability Partnership Program, or Performance Management Partnership, which is what it's evolved into, we work with dealers on an ongoing basis. We have weekly meetings with managers to review these numbers. And we have monthly meetings where I'm in-house at the dealership once a month, or given the state of COVID, we could certainly do this by way of Zoom as well.
Interesting.
I think that's a terrific thing.
So in sense as to time, I just want to go over a few slides. Next week, Channel Solutions, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're having David, Jason, Marguerite, and Eric. So talking about some solutions for car dealers around technology, around how you can market your dealership better. And obviously that's going to lead to leads, as we discussed earlier. Also, Vendor Speak, we haven't confirmed for this week, but we should have an announcement shortly there. So if you're interested in the Vendor Speak, reach out to Mr. Polo. I'm sure he'll be happy to help you. And then coming up shows, we have Janice on Vendor Speak next week, and then we're going to digital retail as we go into November. So if you're debating digital retail and you want to know whether it's really worth it to invest in that technology, we're going to have some competitors on talking about the data behind digital retail. And any final questions for the guests? We still got about 10 minutes, so go ahead from the audience.
There's the sound of silence.
That's right. Simon and Garfunkel, the sound of silence. I love it.
Actually, I do have a question probably for both Johns and anyone else on the show this morning. Just curious what everybody's opinion of the future of training and you know, Jeff, you'd mentioned the word pivot, and I hate beating that word up too much, but
right.
where we've been in this kind of the same training loop now for probably 15, 20 years. Is that something that we're going to be sticking in, or do you think there's some evolution coming there that's the gamification and all that stuff that happens? And is that something that's coming our way, or is that just a lovely theory?
Well, I can tell you, in my opinion, in terms of what we are working towards is obviously sales training, workshops, seminars, etc. But the big thing is ongoing development of salespeople and retention, because it's a huge problem in our industry. We hire people, we don't do a very good job of, number one, the hiring process, number two, the onboarding process, and certainly for ongoing development and retention based on the statistics that you see and hear, where 70% of people or 80% of people leave the industry within the first year, that's staggering. So what we've worked on and what we've done with dealers in the past is an ongoing development program where we help salespeople sell more vehicles on a monthly basis. And just think in terms of if each salesperson in a dealership were to sell just 2 more vehicles per month or 3 more vehicles per month. We worked with a dealership that no one had sold 100 vehicles in a year. And within the first year, we had everybody into double digits. But this comes with ongoing development. It's not just going to a seminar or a training session. And believe me, I love doing them and I love having people come. But the real answer, I believe, in our industry is to develop a program where it's ongoing development and retention.
Well, that's certainly been a very big issue with this industry. It's one of the bees in my bonnet, of course, is the fact that we view people as expendable, and we put all this effort into training people new. And like you say, John, what happens with ongoing growth? Mr. Kostakos?
No, you're right. No, you know what John said was absolutely correct. So for me, I just think it comes down to the desire for the salesperson, like what kind of their attitude and their motivation and their desire and their, why are they in the car business? Why are they going to work? Like, you have to have some goals. You have to have the gratitude list. You have to be going to work with a purpose, to go to work and not to wait. That comes from inside the person. So that's why there's a lot of people struggle, because it's just a job. And so.
Yeah, it's true there, John, like what you had mentioned about having to be in, your bottom line expectation of yourself, 12 dealerships a day, that should trickle down to somebody on the floor where they just have to make X number of phone calls, or they have to meet so many people in service, or whatever that number is. There's got to be a bottom line expectation that they hold themselves accountable to, Not some guy behind a desk saying you've only talked to 3 people and you're supposed to talk to 6. They got to have that accountability inside.
100%. And when you do it on your own, when you do it as a salesperson and you work a full day, I challenge salespeople. I do my meetings. Just put a full day and just try it for a week and see what happens. Because when you go home at night, you're only accountable to yourself. When you look in the mirror, it's just you're accountable to you. And if you can look at yourself and say, you know what? I did my best. I called these people. I went and visited these people. I took donuts to these people's work. I talked to people in service. I did everything I could. I set up a few appointments. I didn't sell a car today, but you know what? If you can do that, you can look at yourself in the mirror. You can sleep good at night because you did your best. And that's all anybody asks of somebody. Yes or no?
It's funny. I remember coining a phrase a few years back, and it came out of absolutely nowhere in a sales meeting, but it was basically just do what you say you do.
Yeah.
It's
do
really
your
that
job.
Yeah.
No question.
Did you have any final thoughts, Mr. Polo, or any other questions from the audience?
Well, I do have to say from my end, while everybody's thinking of questions, some great input today, and it's nice to have a whole new approach to our show. We've had a lot of people that have done different things, salespeople and digital people, and to have the people that are telling the salespeople or helping people to learn what they're doing is a very good thing. And I think more dealerships should listen to the John or John.
Absolutely.
By the way, I also want royalties if they do. Well, Mr. Kostakos, I think you should get Mr. Marino to offer free face masks with his logo on them. I think that's an awfully good face mask for salespeople, because a big challenge is they're talking to people and they can't see their lips. And the whole time I was focused on what you were saying, because I could actually see you.
Yeah, like, you know
Very
what,
good
that's
point.
an interesting, right? It is good because body language today, now the body language, it's a different thing because now it's about studying the eyes, the eyebrows, how the person, their throat, how they move. So it's a different, that's why, yeah, it's good.
Very good.
And these masks are Mingle Mask. It's a Canadian company. Mingle Mask.
Mingle Mask. I'll Google them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, John, I just had a question. Obviously, we're dealing with people of different generations today more than ever. Do you find that the younger generation of salespeople and younger generation of owners are just as interested in training as the older generation?
Which John are you asking?
Yeah.
Question for both. Go ahead, John Kostakos.
I think, yeah, the newer salesperson, the person in the business a few years, they're very receptive to it. Sometimes the older salesperson, they're kind of shun away from it, but it's good for all of them. You just gotta get into their head that, you know, like when you're green, you grow, and you're ripe, you rot. Or as Dwayne says, if you don't evolve, you're gonna dissolve. So that's the whole, yeah, that's right. It's true. And and I'll finish off on this. For me, is anybody who stops learning is old, whether you're 20 or 80, right? So, and then anyone who keeps learning stays young. And the greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. And that's not my quote. That's a quote from Henry Ford. So that's
for sure.
Go ahead, John Latka.
Well, there are different views. I mean, you know, I've had the good fortune of being able to work with younger dealers, dealers that have been experienced, older dealers, father-son teams, and you know, I find that the majority are receptive to development, whether it be through sales training or whether it be telephone skills, whatever the case may be, as long as they can see a benefit and can you show them numbers.
Right.
Well, fantastic. I do have to say to everybody out there, John Latka will be joining us on Vendor Speak middle of November there, and I think what he has to offer is terrific. Pamela, make sure you attend. It's the middle of November. Who knows, John? Maybe you and Pamela's group can get together on some good stuff. Nudge, nudge, and I won't even charge a royalty.
Oh, that's perfect.
Ian?
Thanks, Jeff.
Anytime.
Yeah, I like the idea of accountability driven by a pay plan, almost like a BDC pay plan. I'm curious about that just because we all know retention is a major issue in auto. We've had multiple shows on it. I mean, 80 to 90% turn on staff is just not healthy for anybody. So I think if any way you can reduce that and also create better salespeople over time, I think that's definitely something you got to look at. And I didn't get
that's something that we'll be able to talk on in our vendor speak session.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thanks
I
very
do
much,
have to
everybody.
say, though, Ian, one more thing, if I can say. John, when you mentioned that, you reminded me of a F&I office. We require them to get people approved, go through the whole finance thing, and do all this work and spend time and follow up and everything else, and we only pay them on products.
Right.
They don't, they shove people, some of them shove people into high interest rates loans so they can get higher DR because that's all they get paid on. And salespeople, it's a very interesting thing. We only pay them on the end result, and many of us wonder why they live on ups, and they work that. And Kostakos, you train people on how to not live on ups, both of you. So great stuff, gentlemen.
Thanks very much.
Thank you all for attending. Have a fabulous day.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, fellas.
Our pleasure.
You're welcome.